Hello, everyone, and welcome to Movie Goodness, where we examine life through cinema here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and welcome to the 2026 San Diego Comic Con recap. In just a recap. I don't know what I was about to go into, but yes, we're going to talk Comic Con. And in case you don't know what Comic Con is, if you've been living under a boulder for your entire life, it's the nerd Super Bowl. It is the geek Super Bowl, if you will. This is where the geekdom nerd community come together and converge into San Diego, California for the big Comic Con weekend, because aside of the awesome cosplay that you'll see at Comic Con, you'll see panels, you'll see these vendors pop up with vintage comic books and comic book or graphic novels, or toys, pop those funnel pop things and all of that just pop up there. That for collectors is like, oh my god, it's paradise. You can find everything at Comic Con. You can find friends. You can find anything at a Comic Con. But the big thing for those of us who are not too entrenched into the cosplay or into walking around a convention center for an entire weekend, you really want to know about the panels and what's coming up in television and film, especially when it pertains to comic book films, superhero films, coming from DC or Marvel or anyone else for that matter. You want to hear the news. Who's been cast as this? When are we going to get a new Avengers film? When are we going to get a Justice League film? When is the next Batman film? When are we getting this, that, and the third? All that is contribute to Comic Con and has become such a to the point, even outside of the genre. You get random television shows. I think The Pit was there last year, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken, but I think they were there. But just dramas, that you wouldn't think to be at a Comic Con, in a convention center full of nerds dressed up as Dragon Ball Z characters. But there you have it. That's the beauty of it all. Everybody comes together, and it is a joyous occasion. At least as far as I know, I have yet to attend a San Diego Comic Con. I've been planning one for the longest, and I just have not been able to go for one reason or another. Either it was my fear of flying, and I finally got over that. So once I got over my fear of flying, I was broke. So there's that. And so now I got to save up, and hopefully I can make it to a Comic Con there. They have one down here in New Orleans every year. I think it's the first of the year. I think it's in January that they normally have. And you get to see some celebrities. You get to see cosplay. It's big, and it's all over. They have Comic Cons everywhere. So San Diego Comic Con isn't the only one. It's just the biggest one. It is the one where all of the eyes focus upon. And this year is no different. This year, we had some surprises this year. I wasn't expecting. I wasn't really focused on Comic Con this year because I figured, we're not going to get any news. I'm pretty much up to date on what's coming out and who's doing what and whatnot. And so honestly, I wasn't really into Comic Con until I want to say maybe Wednesday or Thursday before. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna pay attention. I'm gonna see what's popping at Comic Con. So I started watching YouTube channels that were covering it and looking on X or Twitter, trying to see what's the latest and this, that, and the third. And it all came to a culmination on Saturday night when Marvel took the stage, and that was like the pinnacle of the weekend. And boy, did we get some news dropped that evening. So we're going to go over that. But before we get to Saturday night, let's run through some of the news that we got involving TV shows and movies that are upcoming. You probably didn't know were coming. We got trailers that dropped that were new, and hey, really caught me by surprise to the point where I'm looking forward to it. And whereas I wasn't looking forward to it before, now it has my full attention. And so we're just going to go over today. We're not going to spend too much time talking. And I know when normally say that, I spend a lot of time talking about it. But I'm just going to recap the best that I can. Just the news that moved me. Now there's a plethora of panels that they have that interest a lot of people, and it probably didn't really, get my attention. So I'm probably not going to mention it here. But of course, you can always look online and see what all was covered at Comic-Con this year and get the news there. But these are some of the things that are interesting to me, and I'm assuming that since you're listening to this show, which I deeply, deeply, deeply appreciate, that we share similar interests. So I'm going to dive into things that got my attention, for better or for worse. And I say that because the first thing I want to cover was they dropped a Lord of the Rings of Power trailer for season 3. This is the worst part because I checked out on Rings of Power season 1. I tried it because I love Lord of the Rings, the movies. Those 3 films were just at the time was peak filmmaking for me. We didn't get epic movies like that for a long time until we got the Lord of the Rings, and it was phenomenal to sit in the theater for 3 hours at a time and watch this story unfold. A story that the majority of people knew, for people who read the Tolkien novels and watched that animated movie from the 80s. We pretty much knew the Lord of the Rings story and the Hobbits, and it just brought something new. And so with them being Prime Video, doing a television series based on this property, based on Tolkien's writings, I was like, okay, I'm in. And I was quickly out after maybe 3 or 4 episodes. I can't even remember when I checked out. It was so boring, and I just could not get engaged. And a lot of people I talked to in my circle were the same way. They just were not engaged in the show. But in case you are, hey, get ready for season 3. Season 3 will premiere on Prime Video in November. I think it's November 11th to be exact. So be on the lookout for that. Another nugget from Prime Video. I'm not excited, but at the same time, I'm curious. This is a property that isn't the biggest moneymaker, but yet a lot of people love it. The original Blade Runner, that was directed by Ridley Scott, starring Harrison Ford, Rutger Hauer, and Sean Young, is the ultimate cult classic. Everybody has seen it. Everybody adores it, no matter what version it was, because they had so many cuts of that movie. The Ultimate Edition, the Director's Cut, the Ultimate Director's Cut, the Extended Edition. There are like 7 different versions of that movie, and they're all different. It isn't just different versions just to be different versions' sake for money making reasons. No, they are legit different movies. Same movie, but different, cut differently. I love that movie. And then we fast forward to 2049, Blade Runner 2049, with Ryan Gosling and Harrison Ford returning in that film. I enjoyed that movie. I thought it was really, really good. Not so much an improvement on the first one, but I would say a worthy sequel to the original. I really enjoyed that movie, yet didn't do well in the box office, just like the first film. I don't know why. Nobody goes to see these movies, but everybody universally, for the most part, enjoys those movies. They just don't go to the movies to go see it. It is a weird thing. So somebody got the bright idea. Well, we're not going to put our necks installment of this franchise in the theater. We're going to put it on Prime Video. Blade Runner 2099. And this, we got a trailer for this that dropped at Comic-Con, and this stars Hunter Schafer. Michelle Yeoh is in this thing as a replicant, and it's going to be a series. I think an 8-episode series that drops on November the 25th. The one thing that gives me pause about it, the trailer looked good, but the one thing that gives me pause about it is that they're dropping all the episodes at once. And that's not a good sign. Normally when they have full confidence in a show, it'll be week to week episodes. But if they don't feel, they being these streaming services, not just Prime Video, all of them, if they're not 100% confident in it, it's the entire season at once. And more often than not, they're right. So I'm a little scared about that. But the trailer looked good. But I can see where there's a difference. But also in the back of my mind while I was watching the trailer, I was like, okay, well, you got to understand this is a transition. We're going from the big screen to the small screen. You know, it's going to be a different storytelling style because it's split up in 8 different episodes. So we'll see. We'll see how this all works out. Ridley Scott is executive producing this show, so his hands is still, in it. Maybe not all his hand, not both of his hands, maybe just a couple of fingers, but it's still he is involved in it in some shape, form, or fashion. So, hey, it has my curiosity. Blade Runner 2099 will drop on Prime Video the entire season on November the 25th, just in time for Thanksgiving. I think that's Thanksgiving weekend. Sticking yet again with Prime Video. Now this one not only has my curiosity, I'm a little excited for this, and that's Carrie. I had forgot that they were doing a Carrie series. Probably because when they announced it, I was like, why? They tried this before. They've tried to remake Carrie so many times. Remember the one from a few years ago with Chloe Grace Moretz? And I'm one of the few who didn't mind that movie. Now, was it up there with the original? No, but I didn't mind it. But I can acknowledge the fact that it wasn't that great. Now, they tried to do a sequel to Carrie. I think that was in the 90s, and that was just no thanks. And so to do a remake and set it in the modern day, with social media and all this here, and have Mike Flanagan showrun this thing of all people, man, you have my full attention. I am so excited. That trailer looked really, really good. To make this a show, I don't know. I forgot how many episodes they said, but I think 8. Yeah, I think that's an 8-episode series as well. That's the thing now, is 8 episodes. So yeah, it looked good. It looked like it, still has that same core from the original Brian De Palma, Sissy Spacek film from back of the day, and with Stephen King's flair still lingering in this film, or this show, I should say. Yeah, I'm cool with this. This looks like it is going to be bananas. I don't know if they dropping it, like I mentioned before with Blade Runner, if it's all gonna come out on the same day or not. Either way, I don't care. I think this is perfect to come out in October, and on October the 7th, nonetheless, just in time for Halloween. This is going to be bananas. I think we're going to get a little shocker from this movie. I'm really, I keep saying movie because all we've seen in movies of this show, of this, well, this is a show of this property, but I'm excited to see it in a show format, and especially setting it in modern day. That was another nugget that I didn't realize until I watched the trailer, that they're using social media. We're doing this bullying and all this here, which is adding to the frustration to poor Carrie White. So I'm oh my God, I'm excited for Carrie, which drops on Prime Video October the 7th. Okay, we move over to Apple TV Plus, and Apple TV Plus finally dropped a trailer. The first teaser trailer, or this is the first official trailer. I don't know if I'm going to say teaser because we didn't really get much of a story here, but it looks bananas. This cyberpunk science fiction film or TV show. I don't know why I'm stuck on films, but TV show based on the classic Necromancer. Finally we get it. They've been announced this. I think they filmed this. Oh my God, I want to say 2 years ago or something like that. I know it was announced a while back, and we're finally getting it. I think at one point there was fears that the show wasn't going to come out, that it wasn't going to be released. I don't know if it was because it didn't look good or they were going through reshoots and it was costing too much. Because if you look at this trailer, you can tell they spent a pretty penny on this show. They had to. They had to. This looks bananas, and I'm all in on this show. I cannot wait for Necromancer. I didn't read the story back in the day. I know a lot of people who have and are excited about this and also curious about it because they don't want this messed up because they hold this in high regard. I didn't know it was a thing. To be honest with you, I didn't know anything about the book. So I was in the blind until a few months ago when somebody was explaining it to me. And I was like, oh, that's what it is. It was like, the way he described it to me, it was before that. It's a book that's before its time and has been waiting for adaptation of it, since technology has kind of caught up with the book in a sense, whereas talking special effects wise, where they could actually make this into a movie or TV show. Well, they chose TV show. Let's see how it all works out when Necromancer drops on Apple TV Plus in 2027. Yes, we got to wait, but not deep into 2027, January of 2027. So once we bring in the new year, we can watch Necromancer. All right, let's move over to DC. DC didn't have much of anything, to be honest. DC Studios didn't show anything. I think they're still kind of licking their wounds from the Supergirl box office. I don't know, man. I feel bad for them over there because I think Supergirl was a good movie. Now, I once again, I can acknowledge the flaws in that film. I understand what people gripes are about the film, but overall, I thought it was a pretty good film. I mean, it wasn't the greatest thing I've ever seen, but I don't think it's deserving of all of the backlash that it's getting. I don't know, maybe it's just me or I'm just a big softy at heart, but I didn't see where it was that bad. But it crashed and burned at the box office, and DC is in trouble. DC needs a win in the worst possible way. Because I know a lot of people compare the Marvel situation. Like when they first started out, they hit a home run with Iron Man first out the gate, and then you had the Incredible Hulk, which once again, I enjoyed the Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton. I thought it was good. I didn't have any problems with it. I can acknowledge the flaws once again, but I thought it was a worthy addition to the MCU, that this cinematic universe that they were trying to build at that time, but that didn't really derail anything for Marvel at the time. Well, it's different. This is different times. That was 20 years ago. Well, close to 20 years ago. So you got to figure in that we live in a microwave society. You have to hit everything out the park, especially coming out the gate, with Superman, and Superman didn't perform bananas at the box office. Yeah, it was a hit, but it wasn't a monster hit. and that that they needed a kind of $1 billion film. I don't know who in their right mind thought that Supergirl was going to be $1 billion film, but I digress. They're kind of on their heels right now, you know. They need a win. Well, DC do have two properties that are coming out this year, remaining this year. We took another sting. It's not really DC Studios, it's more DC Studios adjacent when the Batman 2 was announced to be moving back. It's not coming out next year, it's coming out in 2028. And that just had the internet losing their minds, like, oh my God, we've been waiting. I mean, we've been waiting forever. At this point, Robert Pattinson can play Batman Beyond Bruce Wayne. He is that old. He's getting that old at this point. It's been forever since we've gotten the Batman, and we have to wait yet another year before we get the Batman 2. And so that was a thing. This came around the same time as Supergirl came out, you know, right after. And it was like a 1-2 punch. And so what can DC actually do? They can't announce their Batman in the DCU because you still have Robert Pattinson doing his thing with the Batman. And I don't think they really want to announce their Batman until Matt Reeves is finally finished with his and Robert Pattinson, unless they're going to transition him over into the DCU. Now, that's a possibility, but I don't see it. I don't see it fitting. I can't see Robert Pattinson with David Corenswet in this, in the way this is set up. It just doesn't fit. Now, if they retcon some things, sure, he can play it, but I just don't see it. With that being said, come October, they released another trailer. Now, they released the trailer prior to Comic-Con, but you know, they did have a panel there with the actor, with the director, and they were discussing Clayface. Clayface looks like it's going to be good. I think this is the win they need. Now, Clayface isn't going to be $1 billion movie by no stretch of the imagination, but Clayface is kind of low budget in big studio terms. I think it was 30 to 40 million to make that. That's a low budget for studio films and for superhero movies, or comic book movies, I should say. So it can make that. It can make that back in the first opening weekend. So we'll see with that. Plus, the movie legit looks good. And so I'm excited for that. But before we get to that, in August, we are getting Lanterns. And we got a panel with Aaron Pierre, with Kyle Chandler. Also, you had Nathan Fillion, who are Lanterns themselves. They were on the panel discussing this new show, and all three of them are on the show, of course. And the new trailer looks good. I wasn't over the moon with the first two they released, but I was committed to the show because I'm a big Green Lantern fan, and I'm a big Kyle Chandler fan. I'm a big Aaron Pierre fan. And, of course, Nathan Fillion, he needs to be protected at all costs. But I wasn't excited by those trailers. Those trailers didn't get me hyped up. This trailer they released at Comic-Con did. This looks like the show I want. This is the show I want. I showed it to somebody else, and they were like, oh, wait, this is a show? I was like, yeah, it's the show. It was on HBO Max. And they were like, oh, man, I thought it was a movie. This needs to be a movie. This looks good. I'm like, yeah, it looks good. But, hey, I'll take it on TV. And that's even better because we get more. You know, we're going to get more. And it was revealed that the villains on the show will be the Manhunters. Didn't know that before the trailer. When they mentioned Manhunters, I was like, wait, what? My antennas peaked up. And then they showed one shape-shifting. I was like, oh, my God, this is happening? This is really happening? Sinestro popped up in the trailer. It was like, oh, my God, this is going to be awesome. I am so excited for Lanterns. This is the win DC needs. I hope. Haven't seen an episode yet, but it looks like they're on the right track. You putting this comic book property mixed in with True Detective. I'm there for that big fan of True Detective. And so I love when you cross thread genres like that. That's what the superhero genre needs. You know, you need to change things up in order to avoid superhero fatigue, because that's how it comes. You get the same old fighting the big light in the sky, and the superheroes come together and all this. We're tired of that. We've seen that. It's time to do something different. You know, switch it up. Just like Clayface. Clayface is going to be a body horror film, disguised. Well, it's a superhero film disguised as a body horror film. Okay, you got me. This is a True Detective TV show, in the world of DC. Okay, you got me. See, that's the thing. You gotta switch it up. Well, I'm excited. I am excited for Lanterns, which comes out on HBO Max just next month. Now that I think about it, yeah, August is next. Oh my God. I've been so busy. I don't even know what days it are right now. And so this is oh my God, I feel so good now. That just, not just next month. My God, next week, people. Next week is August. Oh my God. I'm so happy. That just brought an extra smile on my face. All right. Okay. Let's get to what we all came here to discuss. The big one, the big who daddy of them all, Marvel's panel at San Diego Comic-Con. Now, the reason I wasn't super excited for this year's is because I figured that Marvel would hop on there and just talk doomsday, because that's all they have. That's all they have at this point. I mean, we talk about DC, but Marvel has been on the ropes ever since Endgame. Let's be honest. You know, we've gotten some nuggets here and there, but for the most part, for the past, I don't know, 6-7 years, Marvel has been on the ropes, man, whether it's TV or film. And now they didn't talk about any TV on the panel. Kevin Feige came out. It was mainly focused on the films. I think they're going to talk TV at D23. I'm about to say 21. D23. I think that's next month or in September, one of the two. But anyways, yeah, I figured it was just going to be Doomsday. And my thing on Doomsday is I'm excited for Doomsday, but at the same time, I'm not. Let me explain myself. I'm excited because it looks phenomenal. You know, bringing back Robert Downey Jr. as Victor Von Doom. Okay, I'm cool with that. Bringing everybody in the MCU together to fight Doom. Okay, of course. Bringing back the Fox X-Men into the fold to fight Doom. Oh my God, yes. You know, everything. Check. Here's the issue. You're just throwing this together. It's like, what set this up? What made Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame so impactful? Such a juggernaut that still scars us to this day, you know, is the fact that this was a culmination since 2008 in Iron Man, in that post-credit scene with Nick Fury telling Iron Man, you think you're the only one. And it all came together with Avengers Endgame. And that's what's, I mean, all the movies that came before that with the Captain Americas, the Thors, you know, all that just made that special because you followed these characters for years to get to this moment. And now we don't have that. You know, we have nothing from Doom other than the post-credit scene in oh my God, what that just goes to show you how much the impact that movie did. I can't even remember it. Fantastic Four, my God. Fantastic Four First Steps. Other than him showing up in the post-credit scene, and I mean quick, a little flash, that was it. That was the only mention of Doom that we've received leading up to this movie. And the general audience. Now, all of us who are in the know, who read the comics, who watched the animated shows back in the day, who are familiar with Van Doom, you know what he's all about. But your casual fans, the casual moviegoer who just want to watch a movie, will have no clue what is going on. Now, it's going to be the film's job to explain all this, to kind of shepherd the movie along, and I'm confident that they can. The Russos, even though outside of the MCU, their movies are hot garbage, but as far as the MCU is concerned, they haven't missed yet. Going back to Winter Soldier and Civil War, and of course Endgame and Infinity War. They've knocked them all out the park, and so I'm confident that they can do the same thing here with Doomsday. It's gonna be interesting. You have a lot of characters that they are putting in this movie, and I don't know how much time we're gonna spend developing the Victor Van Doom character when you have 70 other characters that you have to give attention to, screen time to. We'll see. We'll see come December the 18th. We will see. But anyways, of course, they all talked about that. The whole cast came out. Well, the majority of the cast, or maybe not. I don't know. It's so many people in that movie. But of course, Robert Downey Jr. came out. He gave us a little snippet of his Doom voice, accent. That was pretty cool. Ryan Reynolds was out there dressed up as Deadpool in his gray suit, which is, if I'm not mistaken, an X Factor reference. So I don't know if that's kind of an Easter egg that they laying out there, but we'll see what that leads up to, what they're hinting to with that little appearance. But before all they came out, the Russos announced, or was it Kevin Feige? He announced that they were going to re-release Endgame in theaters in September, and it's going to be a different cut. They're going to have new scenes, a new post-credit scene that will kind of lead into the Doomsday movie. So I guess that's going to be enough. We'll see. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm going to the theater to see that movie again. I don't know. I'm going to pray on it. We'll see how that turns out. We'll see if I have the courage to go spend my hard-earned money to go see a movie that not only have I seen multiple times, but I own. And so I don't know if I want to spend that extra money. Now, I know this has extra footage, but I don't know how important is that footage. How much of that footage is different? I think they said 7 minutes. Is it really worth 7 minutes? We'll see. We'll see. Like I said, I'm going to think on it. Maybe I'll have a weekend that I don't have nothing to do, and I'll say, okay, fine. And I got a few extra bucks. Okay, fine. I'll go check it out again just to get me geared up for Doomsday. But that was a big announcement. Of course, the cast of the Doomsday was out there, and they kind of hyped us up for the movie and whatnot. But those weren't the biggies of the show. We're going to leave off this show with the two big announcements, or three big announcements, I should say, from Marvel. And this is what ended their evening on that panel. The first one, Kevin Feige was out there. He was talking about the future and whatnot, and what's to come. And he mentioned about how Josh Horowitz, who hosts the Happy Sad Confused podcast, really good podcast, really good show, really good host, Josh Horowitz. But he talked about how he always asks the same question to Kevin Feige. Is Ryan Gosling going to play Ghost Rider? I never thought Ryan Gosling, I don't pay attention to that stuff much, but I didn't know he wanted to play that role. I assume that people, because I heard him do an interview one time and he talked about Nova, and I was like, I can see that. I can see him being Nova, but once he did the Star Wars film, I was like, well, there's no point for him being Nova now. he, he didn't conquer that. And so I don't know. I don't know what character he could play in the MCU, but Ghost Rider was the last thing I thought about. But obviously I was wrong. They revealed the logo for Ghost Rider, and Ghost Rider will be released in 2028. And soon as the lights came back on, Ryan Gosling was standing there on stage by himself and confirming that he will play Johnny Blaze. Now, I'm saying confirmed he's Johnny Blaze. I don't know, because there's been a lot of versions in the comics of Ghost Rider. I know he's not playing Nigel. So that I'm gonna throw that out. I'm gonna eliminate that one myself. But I'm assuming it's gonna be Johnny Blaze. It's kind of weird. Not weird, but it's funny and cute in a way. He's playing Ghost Rider. He has officially signed on to be Ghost Rider. His wife, real life wife, Eva Mendes, was in the first Ghost Rider movie with Nicolas Cage. She was the love interest of Nicolas Cage, which is weird, but yeah. So that is a Ghost Rider household. That is so cute. They both can sit there and say, yeah, we were in Ghost Rider movies. Two different versions of it, but we were in a Ghost Rider family. But the other big announcement from that is that the director of that Star Wars film starring Ryan Gosling, which comes out next year, Starfighter, and the director of Deadpool and Wolverine, which was a box office juggernaut from a few years ago, he's going to direct this one. Sean Levy, a very, very good director, accomplished director, and I am super curious to see what he does with this. I was skeptical about him with Deadpool and Wolverine, but he quickly shut me up when I saw that movie. So this is another one. I'm really curious. Is this going to be R? Is this going to be an R-rated film? I doubt it. But you know, if you want to do Ghost Rider justice, true justice, it has to be R-rated. But there are ways around it. You can make it a hard PG-13. You know, you can skirt the line these days. I watched a PG-13 movie the other day, and I could have sworn it was R. It was brutal. I'm like, wait, this was PG? I'm like, man, it blew my mind. But yeah, you can skirt the line these days. But I am excited for this. This is cool, beyond cool. Finally, we get Ghost Rider inside the MCU. No official date, just a year, 2028. 2028 is going to be an interesting year. You have the Batman 2, as I mentioned earlier, coming out in 2028, and you have Ghost Rider. And I think there's another one. Is there another one? Oh, yeah, there is another one, because they announced this one as well. We will get the third film in the Black Panther film franchise. It's a franchise within its own, in my humble opinion. it could stand on its own outside of the MCU. Yes, we are getting Black Panther 3 in December of 2028. I think December 15th, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Ryan Coogler is returning to write and direct. That's the part that really, I almost had tears in my eyes, because I was a little worried that he wouldn't return. I mean, he'd moved on. He's winning Academy Awards now. He's reviving the X-Files franchise. He has his hands in so much lately. I thought that, man, he doesn't have time for Marvel anymore. Why would I do that? You know, I almost won Best Director. He should have won Best Director for Sinners last year. No, why would I go back to Marvel? I can pick anything I want right now and work on any property from any studio. But he chose to come back to Black Panther 3. And I'm happy that he is going to complete this trilogy. And let's see where he goes with this. Part 2 was not as well received as Part 1, of course. You know, we had to deal with a lot We went over it countless times. Uh, to say that that movie was watchable is an accomplishment within itself. Let's be real. They had to deal with COVID. Their star died right before filming. They had to rewrite. The lead of the film caught COVID during filming, so they had to stop. They had to reconfigure some things. Marvel was down his back to shoe in this character, that character, this story, to move this story along, and all. It was so much going on that he could not. The fact that he was able to focus and get a finished product out is a miracle within itself. Now, was the movie great? No. It did not live up. I don't think anything can live up to that first Black Panther film, but it was watchable. It was watchable. Now, I think he doesn't have those issues. Hopefully, we won't have those issues again. But one of the big things about Black Panther 2 or Wakanda Forever that a lot of people were a little upset was the fact that Chadwick Boseman just died, and they had declared that they weren't going to recast T'Challa. Okay, I get that. At the time, it made sense. But you know what would have made more sense? To not make the movie. They should have just pumped the brakes on Wakanda Forever. Waited a couple of years. Wait till those wounds healed up. Because it was literally fresh that Chadwick Boseman passed away. And they went right, cameras rolling, to Wakanda Forever. No, nobody wanted to see that movie. I mean, I don't know. It was a bad decision overall. I think on all parties. They should not have made that film. But now we got some real estate between us. We got some time between us now. And we can kind of move on. We can move on. We can still honor Chadwick, but we can move on with another Black Panther. Well, we're not getting T'Challa recast. They still have declared they're not recasting T'Challa. Okay, I respect it. But T'Challa Jr., that's a different story. We're going to move forward with that character. So the way Ryan Coogler described it, okay, we got some time. He has aged up. I don't see how he aged up that much. But, hey, I'm going to go with it. I don't care. I'm going with it, people. And they announced that we have a new Black Panther. My thoughts for all these years, there were two names. Only two that could fit these shoes. One was Damson Idris. I thought that he could probably move in and become Black Panther. I thought that would have been perfect casting to me. But outside of that, after watching Alien Romulus, I was sold on this brother. I was 100% in camp David Johnson. I don't know why. When I saw him on screen, it just screamed Black Panther. And if you don't believe me, you can go back to previous episodes. You can go back to my Alien Romulus review from was it last year before last? Go back if you think I'm lying. I said it then. I said it then. I said it for my Long Walk review, which he is in. Go back. I got receipts. Go back. I said it then. He would make a great Black Panther. And oh my God, I can't believe for the first time in my life, I was right about something. They brought out David Johnson as T'Challa, Prince T'Challa, the new Black Panther. I am so excited for this movie. Yes, it is coming out December the 15th, 2028. They didn't really speak much on the movie, what it's going to be about. I mean, it's the early stage. We got 2 years before it happens. It feels like 3, but anyway, 2 years before anything happens. Probably going to start rolling cameras probably around this time next year. Who knows? And so we don't know what the story is about, but we did get some hints to it. Denzel Washington spilled the beans, I think about a year ago, that he's going to be in the new Black Panther. And I'm like, okay. I don't know who he's going to play, but that's going to be interesting. Also, since we're introducing mutants now, after Secret Wars, which all this is going to take place after, mutants will be the focus. So is Storm going to be a part of this film? And in case you don't know, in the comics, Storm and T'Challa, they end up getting married in the comics. I don't know if that's going to play a factor in Black Panther 3, or are they going to introduce Storm somewhere else in the X-Men film or something like that? Who knows? I don't know. But it would be cool to see her pop up in this and form a relationship with T'Challa, whoever they cast in that role. Yeah, I'm excited. I am super excited for that. Marvel, they hit a home run with that announcement. 2 surprises. We got a new Black Panther in David Johnson, and we got a new Ghost Rider with Ryan Gosling. I am over the moon excited about that. So, yeah, that was Comic-Con in a nutshell. My little tidbits that I took away over the weekend. I want to know, what did you look at this weekend over at Comic-Con? What did you follow? What was going on, and what piqued your interest, or which one of these stories that I just covered piqued your interest, or are you excited about? I'm super excited. Also, I was a little surprised they didn't talk much about Spider-Man. They did have a little clip. John Barndar came out with a little clip. I didn't watch the clip because we're just a couple of days. I think I see the movie on Wednesday. I don't want to see nothing else. I just want to go see the movie. I'm scared I'm gonna get spoiled, so I'm kind of shutting myself off from everything so I don't get spoiled. Yeah, they did do that, but other than that, they didn't really have a panel. They didn't discuss it. Tom Holland wasn't there. Zendaya wasn't. Nobody was there. They didn't. It's like, okay, Spider-Man comes out Friday. That was it. But let's see. Maybe the movie is going to speak to us, and maybe because it's so soon, they don't want to talk about it and maybe spoil something and this, that, and the third. So I kind of get that too. But I want to know what excited you about San Diego Comic-Con of 2026. You can look us up on our website, dkbradionetwork.com. You can subscribe to the website and get notified of all episodes dropping. You can also subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen, and like this video while you're there, please. And don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to movie goodness here on the KB Radio Network. Everyone, thank you for joining me as we recap all of the big news from San Diego Comic-Con 2026. I want you all to know that I love you. Continue to love everyone. And until we speak again, you all be blessed.